fantastic episode of the podcast. On today's show, we have country music singer songwriter superstar Presley Tennant joining us. But before we jump into this exciting episode that you don't want to miss, we're going to have a word from today's sponsor. Are you looking for clean energy without jitters and bad side effects? No sugar, artificial sweeteners, or preservatives? With a good source of energy from green tea and B12? Then look no further. Make sure you visit pureboost.com and check them out today. We use this every day. It's our drink of choice to give us that good pick-me-up in the morning. On today's episode, we have a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Presley Tennant, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I have a show later tonight, so I'm about to go get ready for that after this, and then I'm very, very excited for it.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into singing and songwriting.
So I grew up singing. I started when I was about 7 years old, but was in a girl group by the time that I was 10, and just was introduced to the entire music industry as a whole. And I fell in love with performing and writing and recording and rehearsing, just the entire process. I just fell in love with every little bit of it. And so from the girl group, it was called the 5 LPs. And then I was about 13 years old when the group started to kind of fizzle out and ended. And so I went on my solo journey. And I've just been doing music ever since. When I was 16, I was on season 16 of The Voice on Kelly Clarkson's team. So that was just such an incredible experience. I owe everything that has been up to this point to Kelly. She is just amazing. And then I've just been doing shows ever since, and we're writing and recording still.
Very cool. So tell us about the experience on that show. What was it like, and what was the process like from the initial audition to where you ended up?
So I was 16, and so I mean, I'm still very young, but also I was a lot younger then, at least mentally wise. And so I just went into it knowing that I just wanted to learn as much as I could. I did my blind audition, and it was just like, I felt really calm and collected the entire time leading up to it. I feel like I was in the hotel for like a month leading up to it. And then the day of my audition, that's like when all the nerves hit, of course, like the most important time for you not to have nerves. That's like, it's like, okay, we're here now. We've been gone for a little bit. Ready whenever you are. It was that kind of feeling. It's like the doors opened up and I started to walk on stage. I felt like I was going to fall and trip on the stairs. I was wearing heels and I was like, oh my Lord, like this is how they're going to remember me. I'm going to fall and all they're going to hear is like a boom. No, thank God it didn't happen. I got on stage perfectly fine. And I started singing my song, and then within like the first 20 to 30 seconds, Kelly had turned her chair, and it was just the most liberating feeling because all of like this hard work that I put into is like finally like this moment is like made it worthwhile. Like it was just so rewarding. As well as just being there that entire time during the process, I've got to meet some of like my best friends that I still talk to this day, as well as getting to work with, my idol. As well as like the musicians and everybody that was on set, the staff and everything like that. It was just the coolest thing that I feel like I could ever go through, and I am immensely grateful for it.
Yeah, and you never really know, just being on the opposite side of the TV watching these type of shows, what it's like behind the scenes. And I would imagine it not only was nerve-wracking, but it was also one of those things where you probably felt like, it was a great feeling to be there at the same time.
I was so sad when I got eliminated. I got eliminated during Top 24. I remember I was just crying, and it wasn't even like because of the fact that I was going to be off the show. It was like I just had to leave the environment that I was in, because every single day there was something going on. I had school every day. So like I was on set doing school with the teacher, and then I would go to like wardrobe rehearsals and interviews. And then it's like at the end of the day, we'd all go into somebody's room and we'd all just jam for hours on end. I remember there was this one time, it was probably like 25 people in one hotel room. And it was like 10 o'clock. Like, quiet hours are at this time now. And all you hear is a open up, security. And for some reason, we all had the bright idea that we were going to hide behind the wall. I was like, guys, like, we're so stupid. There's 25 of us. It's not like the window's open. Like, obviously we're still in here. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to tell us to just quiet down. That's it. And so we opened the door and they were like, hey, you guys got to quiet down. But everyone was just, I don't know, all of our, what is the right word? Our knowledge of, you know, being a normal human being just went out the window and we were like, oh, no one's here. That's one of my favorite memories.
So as far as getting into your career now, what is it like to write the songs that you have? What's the process like for that? And what is it like to perform?
For me, there's a lot of things that go into factor for writing. A lot of it is based off of personal experience or something that I may hear somebody say and I'm like, oh, that could be a cool lyric. I'll just like write it down in my notes in like that moment in time. And then I'll like revisit it later on. I write by myself as well as I co-write. I love writing by myself because I'm able to put everything that I want out there and just onto a sheet of paper into a song. But co-writing, I feel like, is just so special on its own because of the fact that you get to share this experience that you had. And you kind of limit yourself when you write by yourself, if that makes sense. So there's more creative minds that go into it. And so you may say one thing, but it may inspire something that somebody else may think of that you would not have. And so I think that's really special in those ways. It usually starts off with like a hook idea and then we fill in like the verses. I feel like that's the easiest in my writing process because it's like you have the finish line. Now you just need to figure out the path to get there versus you're building your own path and you're like, there's 8 different finish lines I can go through right now. Which one do I choose? So that's the easiest for me. And then like rehearsals wise or like performance wise, it's just a lot of rehearsing, picking out set lists, making sure the set lists are good songs that people still know as well as doing like my own originals. But it's all a really fun process.
So how many songs do you currently have out right now?
Well, I just released an EP called 600 Miles, and there's 6 songs on there. And I think I have about 7 or 8 that are released as singles, but I feel like hundreds in my phone. I'm not going to say they're good. That's why they're still in the phone. But there's a lot of songs that I write. But the ones that are out there, I'm just so excited that they're finally out.
All right, before we jump back into this interview, we're going to take a quick break. Check out the newest single from Presley Tennant called 600 Miles.
I still remember the night in July when you pulled me in close for a kiss goodbye. Had to turn and walk away so you didn't see the tears in my eyes. You left me questions in my heart, left me wondering why I fell so hard. Why'd you have to go so fast and go so far? Do you still think about me? Wonder about that space between us. Did I put the brakes on what could have been? Do you question what we should have been? Is it all the time or every now and then? Do you wanna take that 3-mile drive straight to my house in the back of your mind?
So in your career moving up to where you are now, did you have a singer-songwriter that you looked up to or took inspiration from to do some of the stuff that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I grew up listening to like a wide variety of artists. I listened to obviously a lot of country, but then as well as like some pop and soul R&B influences, as well as to like some like 70s rock. So a little bit of everything. And then like on the occasional Wednesday, my mom would be blaring like opera music in the house for some reason. That was like, I knew my alarm clock was like, oh, you got to get up and clean. If that was that type of thing. And, but the ones that definitely I gravitated towards were more of the powerhouse vocalists. So like Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert, Chris Stapleton, Etta James, Aretha Franklin, Hart, Pat Benatar, just a lot of females. I mean, there was a few males in there, but I definitely was like more towards like the women, female powerhouses.
Now, I understand that you enjoy the process, but would you find the process to be easy or somewhat difficult, or certain processes easier than others?
I feel like it kind of just depends. I feel like everyone kind of goes through those times where it's like, oh my gosh, like I got to keep doing this again. You're like, why isn't this happening now? Of like figuring out even like with songwriting, you get like the writer's block, and that really sucks. I find myself literally like writing about a tree that like I see driving down the street, and I'm like, it's so green and fluffy and leafy. I don't know, just stupid stuff just to try to get me out of this writer's block, because literally nothing comes out, and I'm like, all right, we're just writing about whatever. So in those senses, that is what's really hard. But then once you get out of it, it's like smooth sailing from there. But I feel like when you're living in the moment and you get to really enjoy it all, it doesn't necessarily feel like work. I mean, what's the saying? Like, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's never really quite work. It's just what I do. It's what I love. So it doesn't necessarily feel like it's hard. It may be difficult at sometimes writing about a tree, but it's all, every little bit of it is still enjoyable.
Yeah, and just from being a music lover myself, it's one of those things where if you hear a song that resonates with you, when you revisit that later down the road, it brings up that moment in time or where you were. But it also is in retrospect, for me, it's kind of like movies or TV shows that you resonate with, where you get hooked on it on an emotional level. And I think that's what makes a good artist as well, is being able to tap into that real life scenario.
And a lot of those times, a lot of people have gone through the same feelings. And I think that's what's so special about music. You could be, even if they haven't gone through one of those times, it's like you're able to put a song out there and someone can take that song and put it into their own perspective of their own life. Or it may not be exactly about this situation for them, but this fits exactly for another one. And so I think that's very, very special. It's very, what is the right word? There's a certain word for this. I am blanking. I don't know. It's just so wide and vast in the ways that you can pull inspiration out of everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And with having people as yourself, I feel like that being an artist or a musician is just like writing a story, except for you're writing music about it, and you're singing about it, which a lot of country music superstars are that way. When you listen to their songs, it's a story, but it's done in a different way than if you were reading it. But you're able to resonate with that a little easier, I believe.
I feel like country music, I was told this in a way. I was asked, like, what does country music mean to me? Like, why is it that everyone can gravitate towards country music? And someone had said this, and it's just the perfect way to describe it. Country music is music for people. for everyday life, for everything that you're going through. There's a song for every little bit of emotion you have. Like your fun songs, or you're hanging out with your friends, and then you have like your heartbreak songs and your love songs, and then you have just kind of like the carefree ones, not much hardships in the world. It's just, there's a song for everything, and I think that's really cool.
So what do you perceive the future to be in where you are right now in being able to create those songs down the road? Do you see yourself being a bigger star than you are now?
I mean, yes, but I don't know how to answer that question, just because I feel like as long as I am doing music and I'm getting to perform, just being happy, then I'm successful. That's my version of success. Like, I just want to be able to do what I love and be able to share it with people, to those who can relate to it in any way. So it's not necessarily like, obviously I'd love to be touring and performing. That is the goal. And I'd be opening up and getting to headline my own tours, that type of thing. But as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing, then that's where I'm at.
And you're not wrong there. Success means different things to different people.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've listened to some of the songs that you have out, and I feel like you have such a powerful voice, and the stuff that you've done thus far will move you in different ways, depending on who you are and what the situations you're in, and the environment that you listen to it, which is what makes a good song a good song. So what do you have coming up? Do you have any new releases coming up in the next few months or so?
So there is a few things that I'm working on right now. At least show-wise, I am performing tonight down at House of Blues in Anaheim for the California Country Christmas show, and that's going to be a fun time. New Year's, I'll be at Beer Garden in Huntington Beach, and I'm going to be playing with, basically, they're like my brothers, Redneck Rodeo. They're incredible. And then on March 11th, I'm opening up for Cole Swindell in a Boots in the Park in Norco. So I'm very, very excited for those. Music-wise, it's going to be a little bit of time. Not too long, but people can definitely expect new music in the beginning of 2023.
Very cool. So as far as being able to find your music online, I know you have some snips on your social media, but where can people find you?
You can find me on all my social media, which is at Presley Tennant, PresleyTennant, or you can go to my website, which is just PresleyTennant.com, and everything is linked there, from shows to music to the social links, everything like that you could think of.
Very cool. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I don't want to keep you too long because you are a very, very busy person, and I wish you the best of luck. And it sounds like with what you've done thus far, great things are to come. And to your point, as long as you're happy doing what you do, that's success.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.